Christina, thanks so much for doing this.
I mean, I don't say yes to that many things because I am usually just busy in the kitchen, losing myself and finding myself. But music plays such an important role in my life and in my baking life and in my life. And I'm just obsessed with Life in 7 Songs. So thank you for asking me and inviting me and for what you've created.
Thank you. Well, I hope most of you are familiar with Christina, but for those who aren't, I'll just do a quick intro. So you are the founder of Milk Bar, which today is a dessert empire, right? I mean, it's here in New York, it's in LA, Chicago, Vegas. Obviously has a booming e-commerce ecosystem as well. But back in the day, it started as like a hole-in-the-wall bakery in the East Village, and it grew from there. And I love Milk Bar. I mean, my mom and I are obsessed with compost cookies. These are chocolate chip cookies, but then they also have pretzels and potato chips and butterscotch and oats and
a little bit of ground coffee.
Just
like a moment.
Is a moment. It is so good. You're also a 2-time James Beard Award winner. You're the author of multiple cookbooks. You were a judge on MasterChef USA for a number of seasons with Gordon Ramsay. The list goes on and on. But your music is incredible, so this is going to be really fun. Are you ready to sing in front of 200 strangers?
Y'all, I was really raised at an early age by parents who were like, you sing the way you dance, which is you sing, you know, they say like dance like no one's watching. You got to sing like no one's listening. And no one in my family has a great voice, but I'll tell you there's a lot of passion that comes out.
And let's dive right into the music. Your first pick is the Beatles, A Hard Day's Night. Takes you right back to childhood, right?
Yes.
Tell me why.
First album I'm aging myself, but we had a record player when I was growing up, and it was the first album that I remember being allowed to touch the record and hold the pin. And it's not because the album wasn't precious. If anything, it was precious, but it was the album that we listened to. And this song, the first track, my parents were both the most passionate professionals. My mom, most passionate accountant you've ever met. I know it doesn't seem possible, but if you've met her, you know that it's possible.
She loves numbers.
She loves numbers. She loves making people feel like cared and feeling safe, and she does that by doing your taxes and also giving you like a sugar cookie square to be like, it's gonna be okay, whether you're getting money back or you have to pay the man. My dad, really incredibly passionate agricultural economist. He worked for the dairy division in the USDA. You would think like perfect origin story for someone that opened Milk Bar, but protecting small dairy farmers, writing decisions, helping like guide governance within the government. And so he had a very 9-to-5 job. And so I just remember vividly him coming home. He took a carpool into Washington, D.C. every day, 14th Street, and taking a carpool home. And he had the most regimented schedule. And it meant that every single day when he got home out of his carpool at 5 p.m., he would walk in and go straight to the record player and be like, it's time. And I think it's both like the language of A Hard Day's Night. He was a Beatle obsessive. And it just does that thing. It brings me right back. That first like strum that they let go before they start singing and the song really kicks in. It every time gets me.
Let's take a listen.
It's been a hard day's night, and I've been working like a dog.
It's so good.
Night, I should be sleeping like a log. But when I get home to you, I find the things that you do.
I mean, it's both like the victory of a great day's work, and then also like the secret to living is always having something to look forward to, that like when you get home moment. I just love it.
And I was going to say, that really feels like your particular recipe for success, which is like work ethic, right? But also, no matter what, instilling joy in what you do, even as you've scaled. So we sort of understand where you got your work ethic from, your parents, but I'm curious, the playful, like childlike enthusiasm that you bring to Milk Bar and everything, where does that come from?
I don't know. My parents say that I always had it in me at like an early age, and they tried really hard not to like quelch it, which as a parent now, I try to like be more aware of, right? I mean, it's impossible, right? Because then you start to get into like grades and becoming a teenager, and you have to like give them direction and teach them what's possible in themselves. And so that part is tricky, but I think always finding pockets of that childlike wonder. This is one of ththose songs that, again, that strum. The song doesn't even have to play, just that first strum really brings me back, where I had like no worries in the world whatsoever.
So your second song is Alanis Morissette, You Oughta Know. We're getting angsty now.
You see it, right? It's like they protected me until they were like, let it rip.
First concert?
First concert.
Okay.
First concert. You ready for who opened for Alanis? Radiohead. I die.
Oh
I had no clue, right? Like I had no clue, but I remember my girlfriend's older sister that drove us loved Radiohead, and she like brought a black bra. I'm like 13, okay? Like brought like a black bra to just throw on stage. No one else in the crowd coming for Alanis was really there for Radiohead. They're so brilliant. But I just remember all these moments. But I remember that was the first time that I really felt, it's a song that really gave me a sense of independence, and not necessarily like rage against the parents or the machine, but just like what it felt like to feel feelings that weren't necessarily like always sweet and joyful and childlike, but were still real and important feelings. And it's another one of the like, just let her rips.
Absolutely. Okay, we can play it.
I mean, it's just a banger.
You want to like close your eyes, right?
I mean, it is. It's like, it's almost like no matter how loud it is, it's not loud enough. Like I didn't even know what I just knew she was singing from a place, and I was like, that's part of my place.
It has a lot of angst. It brings me back. I mean, you're a teen, right? Did you know what you wanted to do? Was it part of you kind of figuring out who you are?
No, I mean, funnily, in like the childlike wonderment of it, parents, most passionate professionals, they were like, we got this. We're modeling this behavior, what it looks like to be passionate professionals. So they're like, great, you're gonna get straight A's, you're gonna go to college, and then you can be whatever you wanna be, and you're gonna be super passionate about it. I think they were just like, you're gonna be the most passionate dentist. And instead I was like, the most passionate actuary. And instead I was like, I wanna be the most passionate baker, and they were like, why? Do you want to move to New York City and work like below minimum wage and start out at the bottom? Like literally the basement of New York City is where you work when you work in the pastry department in New York City. Why do you want to do this?
No light.
There's no light. You literally, I was just in the kitchen this morning and I was like, oh, it's like 1 p.m. I need to like, life is happening outside.
Yeah.
But I discovered that once I graduated college. I was raised to like, this is the path. People like us do things like this. Yeah. And it wasn't until I graduated from college that I was like, okay, so great, I got to choose my thing. Only my majors were Italian and applied mathematics.
Right.
And I was like,
it's a little different.
I do want to speak Italian all day, and I do want to solve math problems, but I don't want to like really do it on anyone else's terms. I just want to like sit in a corner and like, you give me a math problem and then I'll do it, and then can we call it a day? But I just sort of looked at their modeling, which was so productive, and thought to myself, they were the type of professionals that they had the same job their entire lives, the same job. They didn't even change where they worked, change companies. And so I was like, okay, it was super simple. So what is the thing you want to do every single day without fail, with dependability, with confidence, and with passion? Like, what is that thing you're going to do every single day for the rest of your life, dependably? Wow. And I was like, make cookies. And it didn't even occur to me like that would sound childlike or infantile. Yeah. It was just my answer. And I then was like, okay, what's the translation of that, right? Like, how do you become a professional in that? Oh, you go to culinary school and you become a pastry chef. Yeah. Okay, where's the hardest place to do that? Where do you like really, really, really prove to yourself that that's your thing, and that like I'm pretty competitive with myself more than anything else. How do I do that? How do I push that to the highest possible level? And I was like, you go to New York City, you go to the city that doesn't sleep, and you cannonball into it, and you do it all day, and you do it all night, and you hard days night it, right? And you like do it recklessly, and like the banger You Oughta Know. And I worked my way up in New York City fine dining.
You chose a song that connects with those years in the basement, in the kitchen of these fine dining establishments. It's Bob Marley and the Wailers, Waiting in Vain. Was this playing in the kitchens, or?
No, not really. There's just something for me about the flow state of being in the kitchen, of being in work. The things that I really love to do, baking is one of them, running is another one, hiking, anything that's very like lose yourself, find yourself, where you start somewhere and I go into some sort of flow state, and all of a sudden I just like melt away and lose myself, and I just go, and then at some point I find myself. And that for me is what baking is. It's what working the line is. It's what working prep is. It's what baking at home is. And that's what this song brings me. It brings me like a sense of calm. Kitchens in New York City are also very hot, so I joke that it like reminds me a little bit of like that I'm on vacation in the islands.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Of just like, great, here we go. You just sort of like, you take in the sweat as opposed to complain to yourself about it. You're like, I'm gonna relish in it. And there's something very calming about this, where even if I'm doing a lot of something or something fast, or I'm just trying to figure out a new recipe, this is a song that I go to, because it like brings me back to center and puts me in a state where I know who I am and I'm comfortable letting go and losing myself in it, and then I find myself in a new way.
That's beautiful. Let's listen to it.
It is, I will say, it is almost always the first song on like a running playlist, whether I'm running in New York City or running somewhere else. And I started this baking club during the pandemic called Bake Club. It's a very creative name. And this was the first song. Every new recipe gets a new playlist. And it was the first song on the first playlist of Bake Club. It's still a community you can join. It's for bakers or people that just like dessert or like to watch something come to life. And for some reason, this is the song that just, it's the same. It's like a drum, and then it starts, and it's that same, like it just gives a rhythm to it.
Yeah.
There's a patience about it, which I love.
Yeah, it feels like the whole rest of the world sort of shifts away, and you're just with it in the moment, whatever you're doing, running, baking, phone turned off, worries gone. It has that vibe.
That's it.
So eventually you figure out that these basement kitchens, fine dining, is not for you.
Yep.
And in 2005, you hook up with Momofuku, right? And that sort of, they say the rest is history in a sense. So tell us that story of how you got there, and then how that opened up the world to eventually become Milk Bar.
So I had like worked my way up in these fine dining pastry environments, and I never wanted to take the top dog job. I just couldn't, I didn't want the commitment. I was fully committed, but I didn't want the commitment, like I was commitment phobe about it. Eventually I realized that I loved the white tablecloth fine dining pursuit, the artistry of it, the professionalization of it. But what I really missed was like the cookie part of Make Cookies, which is inherently very humble. It's very democratic. It's very of the people and for the people, and it's very simple. It's this simple giving. It's not like you have to be at a certain stature. It's the hard to get reservation. You have to worry about which fork you use to do the thing with dessert. And I looked around, and I was like, there were these beautiful pastry departments in beautiful restaurants in New York City, and then there was like, the grocery store fresh bakery, or maybe like the retro bakery that was like oatmeal raisin cookies and, chocolate cake with yellow frosting, and there was nothing else in between. And I eventually just removed myself from pastry fine dining restaurants, because I knew I was sort of missing something in it. And my whole life, I had, at least the life where I, 18 on, got my college degree so I could kind of go. But even in college, I would do the things that I was drawn to. So, like, why would you major in math and Italian? Because they were the two classes that I was, like, pumped to go to at 7 or 8 a.m., right? And I did that when I was choosing who to work for and where to work. And I had met Dave Chang, the chef and founder of Momofuku, and of the things that I was excited to do was write these crazy hazard analysis plans in my free time because I was like, that sounds like fun. It's like solving a math puzzle, but with words and food. They're called HACCP plans. It's technically, the acronym is Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point. It's a plan that you write when you're running a food service establishment they're kind of like the checkpoints of if something could potentially go bad, what, when, where, right? Oh, the fridge goes out.
Fire in the
kitchen.
kitchen.
Cook something long enough, what have you. And Dave needed help writing a HACCP plan at Momofuku because he was sort of emerging in some of like new cooking techniques to keep like that pork belly extra tender or, like the pork butt just fall off the bone. He needed help writing this plan. And one of the chefs that I had worked for was like, oh, my friend needs help. Like, since you're just kind of like moonlighting now, will you go help him? Sure, I love to help. That's like such a community altruism part of, I think, being a baker. And I just went to go help him. I didn't go in search of a job, but we just hit it off. Our moms lived 2 miles from each other in Virginia. I kid you not. And I just loved what he was doing. He was democratizing savory food. Yeah. He had the same trajectory, fine dining chef, but he was democratizing it in savory terms. Like in a bowl, what a bowl of ramen could be. What Brussels sprouts can taste really good, you guys.
And now they're on every menu.
Now they're on every menu. If you deep fry them and serve them with really smoky, porky, well-rendered bacon. I loved what he was doing, and I was so drawn to it that we sort of hit it off like siblings do. And so I just started helping him build the Momofuku restaurant empire. My job title was officially, etc., because it really was. Usually in most restaurants, or when you're building anything, you're building while you're taking flight. You're sort of you need people that are like, whatever it takes. And like, I see something that needs done, I'll go do it, and I'm that person. And so we just learned along the way how to build and how to grow. He knew that I liked to bake, though.
And Momofuku did not have dessert. You started to introduce that.
It's a bunch of dudes. Dessert's a waste of, you know what I mean? Like, if you have a bunch of dudes, slinging pork buns or what have you, this dessert thing sounds very suspicious. It's a waste of time. It sounds really tender and emotional, and we're not here for that. Turn up the volume, right? Like, drown down the inner dialogue. But bakers are gonna bake. If you're a baker gonna bake. I would go home and bake at night in my tiny little New York City kitchen. And the other thing about baking is you have to give the baked goods away so that you have a reason to bake the next day. So I would bring in whatever my crazy concoction was for the night, and I would just leave it in the office. And the office is like me, Dave, a few other people that were crazy enough to be like, this sounds like a cool place to work. We don't know what we're doing or where we're going, but we're really passionate. Yeah. Yes. And eventually Dave was like, this is not going to work out. You have to start making dessert because you're going to like leave me. Your role, your destiny is not really running operations. It's very clear that after a very long, hard day, it's clear that you want to go home and bake, and this is what you should be doing. So he was like, put dessert on the menu, go. And sometimes this is what friendship is, right? It's like the friends that can turn the mirror so you can see yourself when you can't see yourself. He did that for me and was like, you can't see who you are, but I can see who you are. So like, go. And
put dessert on the menu, go, and then go start your own thing.
He was like, you have to get out of here. This is not going to work. It's almost like, it's like firing the person that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I opened Milk Bar literally down the hallway from Momofuku.
Shared a kitchen?
It's the same address. We shared a kitchen because I ran operations. I knew all the landlords and had the relationships. And I was smart enough, right? Like I had worked for enough business people to be like, it is not a smart business plan to open a bakery in New York City. You have to sell a lot of cookies to pay the rent. Yeah. This is 2008. The economy is not great. Right. There is no Google map that tells you, like, no one's trying to go to, like, 13th between 2nd and 3rd. There's not even street lights. This is where they filmed Taxi Driver, the, like, dark De Niro film, on that block. Questionable, dark, right? And I was like, okay, this sounds like a great place. But really, for me, it was like, I'm going to use the Momofuku empire as my springboard. You knew, you trusted the name. You knew what you could expect. You expected really great food, a lot of energy, maybe Atlantis turned all the way up. And that it was this like really democratized, deep, like cutting edge flavors. And I was like, that's basically what I want to do with dessert. So November 15th, 2008, I opened up the doors. And I remember going to work and being like, why are all these people waiting in line? They don't even know what they're waiting in line for. But this was like before line culture was line culture. I think they were just curious.
Yeah.
And
it had the bright pink cursive, and it just drew people in.
I don't know.
Okay, last song. It's I think it's like the heart and soul of Milk Bar in a
For
way,
me, it
right?
is.
For you, it is. Daft Punk is playing at my house.
Yes.
LCD sound system.
Yes.
How come?
Love LCD sound system. We eventually, so we had one. We opened the doors. I was like, these people don't even know what they're waiting in line for. And I didn't have enough time to worry about, like, will they be into a deeply gooey and underbaked pie? Will they be into this cookie that has all these crazy sweet and salty things in it? What are they going to think about the cakes that are unfrosted on the sides? I didn't have time to think about any of that. I just opened the doors, and people kept coming back. And so I thought, I'm going to need to build a bigger boat. And I eventually built a big enough boat with enough bakeries that I couldn't onboard everyone, and I couldn't, like, imprint them along next. You would have to work the shift next to me, and we just worked together, and that's what training was, and that's how we became one. And eventually we were like, okay, Milk Bar 101. So how do we bring someone in, and how do we make sure they understand where they are and what it means, and that, like, the promise they're making to us is the same we're making to them. And so we were like, we'll make like a little video, like a little sizzle reel at first, so that when you're sitting in a boardroom at Milk Bar, it doesn't feel like you're in a boardroom at Milk Bar, you know? And so the team was like, what's the song? What is the song that we're going to put all these different, like, scenes and movements and clips to? And I was like, oh, it's Daft Punk is playing at my house. There's just something about, like, it's a party, but you can, in my mind, when that song plays, I see all of you, and you're literally dancing in your own little zone, and everyone's dancing differently because every single one of you brings your own little individualistic spice of life thing. There is something about this song and the beat and the music and the drums and the rah, which you'll hear, that just, it makes me feel like I'm at home. It makes me feel like I have found my place where I am me and you are you and every single person is them, and that for me is the heartbeat and the song track to Milk Bar.
Let's hear it.
I'll show you the ropes, kid. Show you the ropes.
Full of joy.
I know, it's so full of joy, and he just screams half the time, but not in like a death metal way, in like a rah.
Yeah. Well, one thing I love about you, and we have been given permission to just go a little bit over, so if I get beeped, just know that I'm going to run a minute over.
She's like, I'm following the rules right now. I see you.
Is the joy is so clearly there. Even when I order online and send it to, my sister across the country, because I live in San Francisco now. She's in, New York, and pandemic especially, it's a gift, right? It's a care package. How did you do that and scale? Because that feels really important as a leader. Like, was that a number one priority? How did you think about that?
No, it was one day at a time. And every day I would just say, what's our bottleneck, right? Like, oh my gosh, we get to do this again today. And then we get to do it again tomorrow. And we have this opportunity. When opportunity knocks, you answer. And every day I just take one step forward, right? Like, what are we missing? What can we do better at? It's that, like, infinite game mindset of what else should we be doing? The care package business, literally the DTC arm of Milk Bar, was never meant to be more than one bakery. Yeah. And it was certainly not meant to be like a multi-channel, omni-channel ecosystem. It's just one opportunity at a time, answering the door when someone knocked, and then figuring it out and building it, and always remembering. I mean, so many of these songs are like remembering the core, right? It's not our, it is technically our DTC channel, but it was DTC before DTC was an acronym. It's been our care package channel because I was raised by a mom who, she still, y'all, to this day, will send a care package of her sugar cookie squares. They're called Greta's. She sends them to the bakeries. Yeah. The woman sends baked goods to the place where the one thing we have already is baked goods. Or when it's Halloween, she will send a Halloween care package to every single Milk Bar across the country and sign it with "Love, Mom." Just those things, right? Of like, I suppose it's answering when opportunity knocks, and then understanding how it fits into who you are. And I think the intersection of those two things is really important. But it's always been like, what's our bottleneck? Where's the opportunity? When does the opportunity knock? And how do we bring it back into like the core of who we are and making sense of it all? And I haven't made sense of any of it. But I know that those pieces are true. It's look for the opportunity, answer it when it knocks, and bring it on back home in order for it to make sense, and keep going.
And my last question is, I know there's been a lot of change for you recently. You started Bake Club, like you mentioned.
Yes.
You also stepped down as CEO of Milk Bar.
Yes.
You moved away from New York City. So what are you up to? What's next?
I live in Nashville, which is talk about music and the heartbeat of a place. That in and of itself makes me so happy. During the pandemic, started this baking club we talked about, had 2 kids, and kept working furiously only when they got old enough to like need education. Where we were living didn't really have like a real sound educational system set up, so we just moved the kids back into the city like the day before school started. For anyone that has young kids, apparently you're not supposed to do it that way. And we also got adopted a giant 90-pound dog named Butter, and we were like, what are we doing? New York City is so different as like our central home. So we call Nashville our home. I come back to New York all the time, but what I realized in the bottleneck was one of the biggest Milk Bar bottlenecks was I can't be both the CEO driving like strategy and truly like being the right leader for our CFO and our COO, and also be like the creative, like I need to be able to get lost and I can't be plugged in and be lost at the same time.
Yeah.
And when I really thought about like, what's my superpower, super proud of how far I built Milk Bar, but I was like, there's many people in this world much more intelligent and capable of really holding the CEO role, where I know Milk Bar's heartbeat better than anyone else. Somebody else in this room could read a P&L and solve some problems as well, if not far better than me. And that has been a really, really fun, challenging transition and dynamic to like find a new soundtrack through. And I'm really excited about how it's going, both in like it's hard and it's easy and it's challenging and it's joyful. So
Christina Tosi, thank you
Thanks.
so much for sharing your 4 songs.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you. That was awesome.